In total this year we probably grew 27 different varieties of peppers. And there are a few basic things you need to look into when you're going to try and grow peppers. If you've seen my video about how to make a self-watering container, you might recognize this beautiful pepper plant. This is the Bolivian Rainbow hot pepper, and as you can see, it's still growing in that same wicking container. Still got water in it. It's fairly easy to see why they call this particular pepper a rainbow. As it is quite a lovely plant to grow. It's nearing the end of October and I really should harvest this, but I'm just enjoying the view far too much. One thing to consider when growing peppers is container size. These are both Bolivian Rainbow hot peppers, but as you can see, this one is considerably smaller than that one. Both of these plants were planted at exactly the same time. The primary difference would be the size of the container, followed closely by the fact that this is in a self-watering or a wicking container. This lovely little pepper here is another one of my favorites that we grew this year. From that list of 27 varieties, I found about 8 that I really like. This is called a Little Blue. Here we are in the beginning of November. Those peppers are still doing just fine. They're a wonderful hot pepper, and I've harvested this plant probably 4 times already this year. Definitely growing several of these next summer. Here we have some of the other peppers that I grew this year. These orange ones are habanero peppers, deliciously hot. Managed to grow these from seeds harvested from a pepper I got at Quality Greens. I think we're all familiar with the standard red chili pepper. Again, I bought a pepper at the grocery store, decided to cut it open, plant the seeds, and I was happy to be able to bring those home. These are some of those little blue peppers. Wonderfully hot. These are called sweet red cherry peppers, and they say sweet, but they're not. These are in fact quite hot. And then some of the largest peppers that I grew this year, these are Big Jim chili peppers. And these, oh, gonna have to cut the end off of that one. But these are just amazing peppers. I didn't have a lot of success. Most of my Big Jims ended up with something very similar to this. But I will try them again next year anyway. Once you've harvested your peppers, you're going to need to find a way to store them to keep you over the winter. My favorite method is to use a common dehydrator. These ones aren't quite ready yet, but I like to dry them to a point where they pretty much just crumple in between my fingers. I'm going to put those back on to dry for a few more hours. Once our peppers are dried, I grind them up into a nice powder and put them in small jars according to what type of pepper they are. For example, this one is red chilies and long red cayenne peppers, whereas this one is the not quite ripe yet green chilies with some green Kung Pao hybrid peppers. Both of these are an incredibly spicy additive and are a great way to preserve your harvest. If drying hot peppers isn't necessarily your cup of tea, you can always consider pickling peppers. This is an incredibly easy process, and I'll put up a video a little bit later on how to do that yourself. But these 4 jars came from one quick batch of pickled peppers when I was just learning how to do it. And like I say, it's incredibly easy. If I can do it, you can do it. Whatever method you use to preserve your harvest, just make sure you do preserve it and don't let it go to waste. One of the things you need to consider when you're growing peppers is the moisture content in your soil. Making sure you have a proper irrigation system to keep them consistently moist and not soak them or let them dry out is, I think, the key to raising top quality pepper. If you find you're not able to necessarily keep the soil as moist as you might like to grow a nice sweet bell pepper, you could consider trying to grow hot peppers. Those smaller peppers don't seem to require quite as much moisture in order to keep the plant thriving and producing top quality fruit. This has been Growing Peppers with JT Bear here at Clean Valley Farms. Happy gardening, thanks for watching, and have yourselves a great day.